This story is about a boy who finds a magical crayon, a crayon so powerful that whatever he draws with it comes to life. At the beginning of the story, we meet a young boy named Harold. But Harold is not from the real world. He is actually a character from a storybook. Inside his world, Harold owns a magical purple crayon. With this crayon, anything Harold draws instantly becomes real. Harold lives alone in his world, so to escape loneliness, he creates two friends using his crayon, Moose and Porcupine. Together, the three of them spend their time having fun and exploring their colorful world. As time passes and Harold starts growing up, his mind fills with questions. To find answers, he often talks to an old man. But this old man isn't just anyone. He is actually the writer of the story, living in the real world, who can somehow communicate with Harold. The old man tells Harold many things about the real world, but he also strictly warns him never to go there. One day, something strange happens. The old man's voice suddenly disappears. Harold tries to talk to him again and again, but there is no response. Worried and confused, Harold decides to take a risk. Using his magical crayon, he draws a door to the real world. Harold plans to cross over, and he wants his friends Moose and Porcupine to come with him. Harold and Moose manage to pass through the door and enter the real world. But just before Porcupine can step through, the door closes, trapping her behind. As soon as Harold enters the real world, everything changes. Harold now looks like a normal human boy, and Moose turns into a human too. Both of them are completely shocked by the real world around them. Meanwhile, Porcupine somehow manages to reopen the door and finally enters the real world as well. She also transforms into a human girl, and seeing her new body leaves her completely amazed. While exploring the city, Harold notices an old man sitting on a bench, reading a newspaper. Harold believes this must be his old man, so he runs toward him, but instead of recognizing Harold, the man angrily chases Harold and Moose away. That's when Harold realizes this is not the old man he knows. Determined to keep searching, Harold draws a bicycle with his magical crayon, and he and Moose ride through the city, trying to find the old man. In the next scene, we meet a boy named Mel, who is traveling in a car with his mother, Terry. Suddenly, their car crashes into Harold and Moose. Thankfully, no one gets hurt, but one of Terry's car tires is completely destroyed. Terry is already stressed and angry, but Harold steps forward to help. Using his magical crayon, he draws a brand new tire, fixing the car instantly. Mel sees everything and is completely shocked. Terry is relieved and grateful. She agrees to give Harold and Moose a ride. During the drive, Harold explains that he is searching for an old man and doesn't know anyone in the city. Since Terry and Mel don't know that Harold and Moose are storybook characters, they assume the old man is Harold's father. Feeling sympathy for him, Terry allows Harold to stay at her house for the night. Later that night, Harold talks with Mel and learns that Mel loves drawing strange imaginary creatures. Harold also finds out that Mel's father has passed away, and because of that, his mother is always sad. Touched by Mel's story, Harold promises to help him. Soon, the two boys become close friends. Harold finally reveals the truth about his magical crayon and lets Mel use it. Excited, Mel draws his imaginary flying creature, but the drawing comes to life and suddenly starts attacking them. Terrified, both boys are forced to run for their lives. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, we see Porcupine, who is desperately searching for Harold. While looking for him, she accidentally enters a house, but things quickly go wrong. She is forced to run away, and soon the police start chasing her. The next morning, when Terry enters the kitchen, she is completely shocked. The entire kitchen is filled with tons of fast food. When Terry asks Mel about it, Mel tells her the truth, that Harold created everything using his magical crayon. Harold also admits that he even painted parts of Terry's house using the same crayon, but Terry refuses to believe any of it. She thinks both boys are lying and angrily tells Harold that he needs to leave the house. Before leaving, Harold does something emotional. He breaks his magical crayon in half and gives one piece to Mel because he truly considers Mel his friend. Seeing this, Mel decides that he won't leave Harold alone. He chooses to help Harold find the old man. Harold feels incredibly happy. Now Harold, Mel, and Moose set out together to search for the old man. Along the way, Harold spots another old man. Once again, he believes this must be his old man and runs toward him. But this time, the man turns out to be a retired military officer who angrily grabs Harold and throws him away. During this chaos, Harold notices something important, a newspaper advertisement about a library. The ad says, "Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here." After seeing this, Harold becomes hopeful. He believes that the library might help him find the old man. So Harold, Mel, and Moose head straight to the library. At the library, Harold meets a librarian named Gary. Gary already knows Mel. Inside the library, Harold learns that Gary has written a novel. However, the story is extremely long and complicated, and because of that, no publisher is willing to publish it. Mel asks Gary if he can help them find the old man. After some convincing, Gary agrees and starts searching for the old man using the library's computers. But since Harold doesn't know anything about the old man, no name, no address, nothing, Gary is unable to find him. Frustrated, Gary sarcastically says to Harold, "Why don't you just write a message in the sky for your old man? Maybe he'll come running." Gary says this as a joke, but Harold absolutely loves the idea. Without wasting any time, Harold decides to actually do it. Outside the library, Harold begins drawing a plane in the air, using his magical crayon. At that moment, Gary watches in shock as the drawing turns into a real plane right in front of his eyes. Now Gary finally understands the truth. Harold is not a normal boy. He is a character from a storybook, and that's why he owns a magical crayon. Realizing this, Gary starts searching for the book Harold came from, hoping it will lead him to the writer, the old man. Meanwhile, Harold, Moose, and Mel fly high into the sky in the plane. Up in the clouds, Harold writes a huge message for the old man. In the message, he includes Mel's mother's phone number and asks the old man to contact them. But flying at such a high altitude becomes dangerous. The plane starts losing control and begins falling rapidly. Harold uses his magical crayon again, saving himself, Mel, and Moose from crashing. Meanwhile, on the other side, Terry suddenly starts receiving phone calls from dozens of old men across the city. The non-stop calls completely overwhelm her. Soon after, we see Mel at school trying to focus on his day, but some kids begin bullying him. Things quickly get out of control, and during the struggle, Mel accidentally hits one of the boys, causing his nose to start bleeding. At the same time, Harold and Moose arrive at the store where Terry works, hoping to find her. While waiting, Harold and Moose begin fooling around inside the shop. When Terry arrives, Harold asks her if she has received a call from his old man. That's when Terry finally realizes the truth. All those calls from old men are happening because of Harold's message in the sky. Terry becomes angry at Harold. Just then, Terry receives another call, this time from Mel's school. The principal asks her to come to school immediately. Terry panics. She has way too much work at the store and doesn't know what to do. Left with no choice, she asks Harold and Moose to watch the store while she rushes to Mel's school. At first, the job seems easy to Harold and Moose, but after spending some time working, they quickly realize that they've never worked a real job before, and this is much harder than they expected. Harold soon gets bored and wanders into the shopping area. Trying to help customers, he starts drawing things with his magical crayon, but things go terribly wrong. The store turns into chaos, with products scattered everywhere. When Terry returns and sees the mess, she is completely shocked. Because Harold and Moose were working in her place, Terry ends up losing her job. Harold immediately apologizes to her. Mel also begs his mother to forgive them and reminds her that she never really liked that job anyway. After hearing Mel's words, Terry finally forgives them. Now Harold and Moose head back home with Mel and Terry. On the way home, Harold notices Terry's sadness. To cheer her up, he draws a piano and encourages her to play it. Harold knows that Terry loves playing the piano, but she stopped after her husband passed away. As Terry begins playing again, her mood slowly changes. Soon after, Gary arrives and tells Harold that he has discovered where the old man is. Gary explains that he found the name of the author who wrote the book Harold came from, and that writer is the same person Harold knows as the old man. Before they can react, Porcupine suddenly shows up, running from the police. Porcupine is overjoyed to see Harold again, but the police arrive right behind her and mistakenly believe that Harold and Moose are her accomplices. All three of them are arrested and taken to the police station. At the station, Harold uses his magical crayon to break through the jail wall, helping everyone escape. The first place Harold goes is to find Mel. Then, with Mel riding along, Harold uses his magical crayon to create a bike, and together, they head toward the author's house to meet the old man. When they finally reach the house, Harold learns the heartbreaking truth: the old man has passed away. That is why the old man suddenly stopped talking to him. Harold is completely devastated. Because of his deep sadness, everything Harold ever created begins to disappear. One by one, his creations fade away, including Moose and Porcupine. Harold is left completely alone. While Harold is in this emotional state, Gary asks for the magical crayon. Without thinking, Harold hands it over. The moment Gary gets the crayon, he captures Harold. Later, when Mel arrives searching for Harold, Gary captures Mel as well. After Gary leaves, Harold and Mel manage to free themselves. This is possible because Mel still has half of the magical crayon, the piece Harold gave him earlier. Seeing Mel again helps Harold regain his strength and hope. As Harold's emotions stabilize, his creations slowly return. Everything that disappeared begins coming back. And finally, Moose and Porcupine return as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see Harold creating a hot air balloon using his magical crayon. He climbs inside and takes off into the sky, determined to find Gary. Soon, Harold and Mel finally locate Gary, and a dangerous fight breaks out between them. Harold somehow manages to stop Gary for a moment, but before he can take back his magical crayon, Gary does something shocking. He swallows the crayon. As soon as the crayon enters his body, all of its powers transfer into Gary. Now Gary can create anything just by using his hands and imagination. Gary becomes incredibly powerful. He transforms himself into the strongest character from his own novel, turning into a living fantasy figure. At that moment, Terry arrives and watches everything in shock. Now she finally believes Mel. Harold truly does have a magical crayon that can bring drawings comes to life. Suddenly, Mel's imaginary dragon lizard appears to help them, but it doesn't last long. Gary attacks the creature and knocks it down easily. Gary's power goes completely out of control. The ground begins to crack. Lava bursts out from the earth, and chaos spreads everywhere. Just then, Porcupine manages to find Harold's magical crayon, which had fallen during the fight. With great effort, she gives it back to Harold. Now holding the crayon again, Harold draws a giant magical bee with special abilities. The bee flies straight into Gary's mouth and pulls the crayon back out. As soon as the crayon leaves Gary's body, he returns to normal, and the environment slowly calms down. The chaos ends. Gary suddenly looks broken and empty. Seeing Gary's sadness, Harold does something unexpected. He draws a door to Gary's fantasy world, the world of Gary's novel. Gary is overjoyed. He thanks Harold because living inside his own novel has always been his biggest dream. Once Gary enters the fantasy world, the dragon lizard burns the door to ashes, making sure Gary can never return. Inside the fantasy world, Gary finally meets his crush. At first he is extremely happy, but soon he realizes the painful truth. His crush doesn't love him. She loves another character from the novel. Gary is heartbroken, and now he is trapped there forever. After this, Harold visits the old man's museum along with his friends. There, Harold finally learns why the old man created him. Harold also finds a message left by the old man. In the message, the old man writes, "I know that wherever you go, you will give people a reason to live, and you will bring happiness into their lives." Reading this, Harold becomes deeply emotional. Before leaving, Mel gives Harold a gift, a box of multicolored crayons. Harold says goodbye to Mel and Terry. Then, along with Porcupine and Moose, Harold returns to his own world. Back in their colorful world, the three friends begin having fun again, just like before. Sometimes the strongest magic isn't a crayon or a drawing that comes to life. It's the courage to believe, the power of imagination, and the love we leave behind. If this story made you smile, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.